Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. How are you today?
Good, Max. How are you?
Oh, good. Hot, but it's okay.
Yeah, understood.
So, before we start talking about your business, shall we have some introduction? Who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chris Hershberger. I'm in the States. I'm in Texas, where it's really, really hot right now. Um, I am a technology. Well, technically, I am a investment guy turned technologist turned digital marketer. So in my previous life, I actually was a stockbroker and investment banker. And then I got out of that industry to move into technology and eventually into digital marketing. I've been very fortunate to work with great brands, especially here in the States and globally. I helped Michael's Stores, which is a very large retail operation here in the States in the arts and crafts industry. We had 1,200 stores. I was one of the first to basically start their digital marketing team. And then I've worked with some really, really big agencies. I worked with a small agency that got bought out by Omnicom, which I'm sure you're familiar with over there in Europe. And then I also worked with Edelman, who's the largest PR agency in the world, which are you probably familiar with over there as well. So I've had a lot of experiences in life, and I would say that I'm probably a little bit older than most startup founders, but I'd like to think that my wisdom and my experience brings a little bit something special.
I'm a big fan of this is why we are moving EquityMatch to e-learning and academy as well. I'm a big fan that entrepreneurship has no age and borders, whatever it comes. You can be an entrepreneur even if you're 70. Actually, you have so much wisdom to share.
That's right. That's right.
So let's start talking about your venture.
Yeah, Mobio Media. One of the things that I've learned over the past is that, when I spent my time at Michael's and we had those 1,200 stores, one of the programs that I was responsible for was a local marketing program. And the challenge is that, at that particular time, you had these general managers that would run these stores, but it was important for them to produce local marketing initiatives. They needed those stores to be part of those communities. The challenge is that most of them weren't marketers, right? And they weren't creative people. So the end result that they would deliver out would be, maybe a flyer or something that they would produce and put on the front of the store. And it did not, let's just say it did not meet brand requirements. So we worked on a system to help kind of alleviate some of the pain and some of the challenges that those general managers were having at the store level. And so if you fast forward to today, because that was almost 10 years ago, one of the things that I kind of experienced, because I actually launched Mobio in the middle of COVID, right when it first started. And I think one of the driving factors is that I saw a lot of small independent stores starting to close the doors for obvious reasons. And I've always had a love for retail and consumer. I always tell people, I'd much rather see coming soon signs than closing soon signs. And so I started thinking, like, how do small independent stores team up with the big brands that they sell to market more effectively? And then I started flipping it on its head, thinking about, like, well, how do big brands, global brands, can put together initiatives in their marketing, but yet have an impact down at a very local level? And the reason why this doesn't take place now is because it's really hard to do and it's really hard to scale. So from an agency perspective, what we do is we use technology to basically create a custom experience based at a store level. Meaning, I'll just give you an example. So let's say Pepsi, sold globally, sold in all different types of stores. Pepsi's all about the branding, right? Pepsi wants to be top of mind when you go into a convenience store or a grocery store or what have you, which is great for Pepsi, but not necessarily for the stores that sell Pepsi. And I'm not saying that Pepsi's against the stores. It's just the fact that Pepsi can't show love to every single store that it sells its product into. That's what we're solving for. We're actually putting a platform together so Pepsi can now run campaigns that actually not only support their product, but support the stores that carry their products. So when instead of seeing a Pepsi campaign that's just branding, where you're trying to top of mind, you can actually now see a localized Pepsi campaign that calls out a very specific convenience store, a very specific grocery store, corner store, whoever that might carry the product. And this goes across any type of product that you can find that's sold at multiple locations. Ray-Ban sunglasses, Levi jeans, alcohol brands, you name it. All of them spend money, lots and lots of money, to make sure that their products are the ones that are being bought off the shelf, but they've never been able to actually tie that experience down to the actual store that's selling the product. And that's what we do. We create that. We make it easier for brands and their local partners to dominate their local space, from the brand all the way down to the shopping basket.
Thank you. I'm very curious. How do you do this?
Oh, it's it's a little bit of labor, a lot of love, and a lot of technology. So what we've basically done is we've created a way to digest all the information and all the assets that we're going to need to run a particular campaign at a local level. So what does that include? That includes obviously the brand itself. So sticking with a Pepsi, and I'm just using Pepsi as an example. I just want to put it out there that Pepsi's not a client of mine, so I don't want to give anybody false information. But I'm a fan of Pepsi. So when you look at Pepsi, you have to understand their brand. So you have to make sure you get their brand. You obviously got to figure out what you're going to promote. If it's a new product, if it's an actual promotion, a price point, a coupon, whatever it might be. And then the really important part is what stores are you going to include as a part of the campaign? It could be 50 stores, it could be 50,000 stores, it could be 500,000 stores. And then we digest that information as data. And then our system then builds out the creative pieces based on each and every location of the store on the promotions that we're given. So it's not necessarily just one single promotion that we're building across multiple stores. It could actually be multiple promotions that we're building across multiple stores. So I'll give you an example. So if you take, I'll give you a number example. So if you take a Pepsi product, if you say, let's say Pepsi wants to promote 10 different products as part of in their portfolio of products, and let's say they want to do it across 100,000 stores, right? Now I'm getting way above my math, Max, but if you take let's say if you take 100,000 stores and you multiply that across that 10 products, you're looking at 1 million different pieces of ad creative and targeting around each and every one of those stores. The reason why that can't be done up to this point, because right now all these types of campaigns would be done manually through creative agencies, because I was one of them. And just to count to 1 million takes you a while, much less swapping out store information and creative for each and every one of those campaigns. It's literally impossible to do with a physical staff, right? So you have to use technology to be able to build those out and tie everything together. And that's what we've done. We've created that process, that technology, to be able to bring all that information together that we would typically take to build one campaign and then multiply it out across thousands of stores.
But how do you differentiate? It's a duplication, or it's going to be different from each of them?
It's going to be different for each and every one of them. So every single campaign that comes across is going to be geo-targeted for their specific store. And not only geo-targeted, but it's also going to call out the information and show their particular store. So when a campaign is actually launched, it's not a general campaign where it just shows the Pepsi product. It actually includes the store name, the store address, the store phone number, and a picture of the store. So people, when someone is in a neighborhood and they see this come across, because we've targeted from a geographical perspective, and they see this ad come across their Facebook feed or some other digital media outlet, they see it and they see the picture of the store that's right down the street from them. So they go, oh, that's my store. That's my grocery store. That's the store that I usually go pick up a Pepsi or something else. So we actually personalize by localizing each and every single one of those ad creatives in every one of those campaigns.
I mean, I understand the value proposition for stores. What's the value proposition for this big brand, for example?
Ah, great question. For the big brands, what it now allows them to do is now allows them to not only target better, meaning that, let's say, using the Pepsi example, let's say they have a number of different Pepsi products. You have Pepsi, Pepsi, Pepsi Cola, Cherry, Pepsi Cola, all these different Pepsi products. Now you're running all these what we would consider micro campaigns across all these different stores. And now you're seeing like which brands now are having the impact that you want them to have at a store level. Now you can make changes and you can pivot. So if you see some stores that are let's say that they're losing to competition, you can put more effort into those stores, or you can start to see which particular brands are being sold or which ones are being more accepted at particular stores. Or even better yet is when they launch a new product, let's say that they decide that they want to roll out a product regionally and not just globally or nationally, then we can actually take those products and place their ads regionally to the stores that are actually carrying the new product. On top of that, then the analytics side of it is now you get to come back and analyze everything. Instead of saying, okay, here's how our general campaign works, I can actually go down and say, oh, I can see every single store that then goes up to every single city, that goes to every single state or region, up to the country, and then you can roll it up. So it gives the big brands the opportunity to really micromanage their campaigns. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Max, the two things that it does, it gives you better performance on your campaigns because you're reducing waste. And then the second thing it's doing is giving you the flexibility to change out your campaigns on the fly. So you can pivot based on product promotion. If you're rolling out something new, if you're losing market share against the competition, it gives you all those capabilities from a big brand perspective.
When it comes to targeting the audience, I suppose having community around any store, are you going to do this? Because community are different, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's a really good question. So what happens is when we do the targeting, if you think of an X and a Y axis, right? So across the X axis, we have the campaigns themselves, right? So if we have a campaign for a regular Pepsi versus a diet Pepsi versus a iced tea or what have you, each one of those campaigns would have a specific audience that is tied to it, right? And then if you look at the other axis where we'd have all the store information, each one of those stores would have a certain geographical targeting attribute to them, meaning that if I'm targeting a bodega in Manhattan, then I know that my radius for the targeting of that store doesn't have to be really wide because we're in a very dense area, right? So if I take that targeting and I cross it over with the targeting for the campaign itself, then each one of those ads gets its own unique targeting execution, because now we're targeting not only from an audience base, meaning if I'm selling an iced tea and I'm targeting people that I know that like iced tea, I'm also targeting people who like iced tea that might live within 2 miles of a particular store in central Manhattan.
What about paying? Who's going to pay?
Great question. Yeah. So we're actually setting it up to where the pay can go in any direction that we need it to go. So give you two examples here. So if you take a Pepsi and a Pepsi says, listen, we're going to roll out a product and we're going to put X amount of media behind this particular campaign, then Pepsi's paying, right? And Pepsi, the way that we make money is we charge basically a percentage of media fees, just like a traditional media agency would. If Pepsi then turns around and says, well, obviously we can't run a campaign for every single location that carries a Pepsi, that would be way too much. Now, maybe it's not. Pepsi does have quite a bit of money. They could actually turn it around and say, hey, we're gonna do a cooperative program to where every ad campaign that we build for every store, then we're gonna reach out to that store and we're gonna split the campaign with them. Or they might just create the ads and then provide them for the stores and let the store have the option of running the ad themselves if they'd like to. So there's three different combinations where the big brands can take the most of the financial responsibility. The brand and the store can come together as a co-op or they can push the ads down, which doesn't really cost Pepsi anything, push the ads down to the store, and then the individual store then has ready to run ads that would benefit them from driving foot traffic as well. And they don't have to know marketing, right? So the store owner doesn't have to know anything about digital ads or advertising or audience or anything. They would just be able, all they have to do is put in the amount of money that they want to spend for that particular ad and run it.
Are we talking about offline, online adverts?
All online events. Now, one of the things that we do is through our holistic solution of connecting, basically connecting the shopper funnel, is we also can create a landing page for every single ad that's created, which then gives the shopper the ability to shop the way they want. Now, Pepsi might be a little bit of an oddball situation in this case because, you know, it's a $2 Pepsi. So you might not want to shop and have it delivered because it probably costs you more to have it delivered than the Pepsi itself. But we could give them that option to where if they wanted to have a delivery service, that we could track that, and then that delivery service could obviously deliver that product from that local retailer. And we also have a mobile wallet piece, which what that does is that allows us to take the mobile promotion, or take the promotion at that local retailer, create a mobile wallet piece, which could be a coupon, could be a loyalty card, or it could just be a promotion piece in general. And then that consumer gets reminded when they get within a certain radius of that particular retailer to go and purchase that product. So if if let's say we'll keep on the Pepsi front here. If Pepsi says buy one get one free at this local retailer, they can come through. They can download a mobile wallet piece. And then when they're really close to that particular retailer, they would get a push notification that says, hey, don't forget to stop in and take advantage of buy one, get one free Pepsis, right? So we do have a very online, offline component that helps keep the brand top of mind and helps keep that foot traffic coming into that store. So we like the fact that we can give the option of, because e-commerce obviously being a very big thing now and it's constantly growing. We want to be able to give the shopper the ability to shop the way that they want to.
I mean, what about market traction? How is it going now?
It's going really well. We spent the last, so we're just a little bit over 18 months. We spent the first 12 months really kind of figuring out our market fit from a product perspective. We really started taking on clients this year. And we've really started putting focus on the CPG industry specifically. Really, the main reason is because the CPG industry spends probably the most money out of any industry in the digital marketing space. And our solution really helps them solve and becomes more efficient from an ad space. So we've brought on already probably 10 to 12 clients. We're running multiple types of campaigns. And we're actually running campaigns that are outside of CPG. So we've actually ran campaigns for franchises because the same model works for a franchise business. We've done it for service businesses. And believe it or not, which I never thought we really would do, we actually did it on we did a B2B campaign. We had a company in the healthcare space that was trying to attract local practices, medical practices, to join their services. So we used our same solution, but in a B2B perspective, and just killed it, man. The campaign went phenomenal. We had double and triple percentage growths across the number of leads that they were getting. We cut their CPM costs down by like 300%. And their cost per click, I think that we reduced it by 200%. So the campaign did phenomenal. But our primary focus right now is really kind of in that CPG and durable goods market. You know, those things that are constantly being bought at a location, things that are replenished on a regular basis. It could be a fast-moving consumer good, all the way up to, let's just say, apparel, shoes, into personal electronics. So it's we're getting a lot of good responses and picking up paid clients from the onset. So we're not giving it away for free.
Of course, business has to be profitable. I'm curious to see, you're a digital company, but at the same time, you're very local, you're very community oriented. How do you manage data? in terms of proximity. You need to be there to know how the attitude, the behavior of any community. This can be very different. You're based in Texas, for example. If you are going to run something in Ohio, probably it's going to be different. How exactly do you manage data and making sure that you can reach the right target?
Yeah, so because the solution that we're putting in place really is the experience itself, starting from the creative to the user experience to the shopping to the shopping options. From a data perspective, from a local data perspective, as in how do we make sure that we serve up the right ads to the right people from a location standpoint, really depends on the partnerships that we put in place. So most of our campaigns we run through the Meta properties, which is Facebook and Instagram, and we can do some WhatsApp, but we really don't. And so from a location and an audience targeting perspective, then we're basically using, the Meta platform for that. We've just brought on in the States, and unfortunately it's just in the States. I'm hoping that we can grow outside the States. We brought on another partner that allows us to do hyper-local ad delivery and experiences more on a display ad, a connected TV ad, an OTT ad. So the plus and minus here is that yes, from a targeting perspective, we are reliant on our partners that we deliver the advertising through, but on the flip side, we're not tied into a particular solution, meaning that we don't have to run just on Facebook or just on Instagram or just on anything in particular. Our solution actually is agnostic from let's say a media trading desk or a media publisher.
I mean, in terms of scaling, are you raising any funds to move forward?
We are. We've already completed. We did a pre-seed, a very small pre-seed. We did 100,000 pre-seed to kind of jumpstart, get some of the software in place. And right now we're in our seed. We're calling it our seed round. We're doing a convertible note, 1.5 million. We've already taken down 10% of it, so we've got 150,000 of it already in, and we're looking forward to trying to get that thing wrapped up and closed here within the next few months.
So you are an entrepreneur. So I do like asking to entrepreneurs the vision. I'm a big believer of vision. For me, everyone has to have, yes, a mission, but you need to see where you are going to be in 5 years' time. 3, 5. Someone tells me 5 years' time is too long. I don't think so. I think you can actually see where you want to be. If you are going to be there, that's another story. But where you do like to be, where you want to see your company, only in US, outside, I don't know, coming to Europe, for example?
Oh yeah, no, we definitely want to be global. We're actually in the process of looking to run our first campaigns in Australia and India, which we feel that they'll happen probably this quarter. So we definitely are planning on being global. From a product perspective, my ultimate dream in 5 years is to be able to present a marketing solution to any individual store, if it's part of a chain or if it's just a mom and pop store or somebody just starting out, to give them the ability to run marketing for themselves and have success with our tool. But to do that, we have to start kind of at the enterprise level. We have to start with the big brands for multiple reasons. The big brands are the ones that are spending the money in the space already. And we realize that we're not putting our head in the sand from that standpoint. And also the big brands are the ones that have the relationships either directly or indirectly with all the individual small mom and pops. So it makes more sense for us to scale from kind of the top down first. But I'd like to see within the next 3 to 5 years that we would be able to have any location, any consumer location. It doesn't matter if they're a grocery store or a convenience store, if they sell clothes or shoes, that they can come into Mobio and sign up and basically have ready to run ads for their local store to help them drive traffic in there. And then eventually our exit strategy really is to be acquired or to be merged in. And that could look like that could be a number of different people, right? That could end up being with a much larger enterprise type scenario, such it's someone maybe in a related space, and I'm just throwing names out there, like say like an Adobe, someone that plays kind of in that marketing automation and digital space, or we could end up with someone like a Pepsi or a very large global brand who has a portfolio of different brands that looks at us and says, we want to take you out and just bring you in and have you handle nothing but only our brands. So I mean, it could go anywhere, to be honest, Max, but it's fun to dream for sure.
I mean, you already said who is going to pay. How exactly your business model works?
Oh, our business model from a financial standpoint, like from a revenue, is usually minimal setup and integration fees depending on the client, and then it's just percentage of revenue, or excuse me, percentage of media spend.
I want to close with this one. Why investors should invest in Chris and Mobio?
Oh, it's always a great question. I feel like I'm a smart guy, but I don't want to think that I'm doing anything earth shattering, right? What we understand, and my team understands, is that we understand the challenges from a marketing perspective and then from a technology perspective, because I know we didn't really touch much on my partner. He's from India. We met at Michael's, and he's really on the technology side. And we worked really well together while we were at Michael's. And we understand that there are some really big technology challenges within the retail space. And this just happens to be that we've come across multiple times. And we just felt that now was the time to solve it. So for somebody to invest in us, they're investing in people that are experienced from a business perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a technology perspective. And I know entrepreneurs can be successful at any age and in any level in their career, but we said at the beginning, there is something to be said about experience, and kind of getting beat up by the world in business, that we have gone through, that kind of puts us in a position to be successful. The company's going to be successful no matter what. There's no doubt in my mind. The technology's there, the solution's there, the competition's really not there. The need is there. We've already proven it out with multiple clients. We've had multiple conversations. People are really starting to understand and get it. So anyways, I hope I answered your question, but I really, at the end of the day, they're investing in people. You got some really strong individuals and some really strong advisors, along with a really, really great product in the making.
I mean, I do believe this can be a great app for the local stores. Of course, for the big brand, of course, for any brand, but the locals are not that knowledge when it comes to advertising, especially when it comes to digital. So having someone who can manage it for them and give you some leverage, even locally, it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, the big brands really play the role of taking advantage of our system to make their campaigns more efficient and provide more data. And ultimately, from a social, like a feel-good perspective, the big brands really can have an impact on the local store. Yeah, because exactly. if they come in and they say, listen, we're going to partner with you, we're going to build out these campaigns, even if they don't pay for them, and they just push the campaigns down to the local store, and removing that barrier of the local store not having the expertise around marketing and creative and digital, which most of them don't, that's a huge, huge thing. And that will help the local stores tremendously, for sure.
Chris, thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure for me.
Well, it's great talking to you, Max. I really appreciate you taking the time as well.
Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Thanks.